All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages, the law of the harvest in marriage. So, this is going to be a really important lesson for you guys. If you feel like you're making some changes, but it's just, man, you're still getting a lot of negative feedback from your wife and it's getting frustrating, this is going to help you explain that and see that in a way that will be helpful. So my name is Mike Frazier, MD, and I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach, and I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So just had a bunch of new guys join the Strongman system. So we've called it lots of different things. I'm kind of going back to the Strongman system. I like that name for the program. So guys in the program. So one gentleman shared he's feeling like a new man. He says, I feel fixed. I'm not the same man as before. And that's really what this is about, guys. It's not really about your wife changing or liking you more or whatever. It's about you becoming a new man and connecting yourself worth to God and being a great example to your kids, no matter what your wife chooses. Now, it just so happens when you make that commitment, that's also the most likely thing that she's going to be attracted to you. Okay. So another thing, a wife's feeling safe enough to share her hurt. So this is one thing that seems like you're going backwards, but when you start showing you can manage your emotions better, you start showing some interest in your wife, she might start sharing some stuff with you that she hasn't shared before. And that can, again, seem like a step backwards, like she's complaining more, but really she just feels more safe with you because you're not freaking out, you're managing yourself better. And so it is a step forward. Okay. And guys in the program, if you're listening, just remember it is a step forward. Guys are starting to listen to understand, and that's being met with appreciation from their wife. Finally feeling like, man, this guy actually cares about me instead of just caring about himself. Wife's initiating hugs and physical contact, huge win. Guys are having improved connection with their kids because look, when you can manage your emotions better, you can communicate better. You have great relationships, not just with your wife, but with your kids, with yourself, with God, all of that. One gentleman shared he has a much deeper understanding of God's love and his abiding presence in my life. Just thought that was a really cool quote. A big part of the program is connecting with God in that deep way, because if you don't feel solid in who you are, if you don't feel loved by God and okay with who you are, you tend to try to get that from outside sources, from your work, from your kids, and especially from your wife. And when she doesn't give you appreciation, you feel bad. So we really work on building up that sense of self-worth so you're not needy on her attention, appreciation, affection, all of that. Guys are having improved communication even during stress. So a gentleman shared some people in his family were sick, and he was still able to use these skills, which is huge because we tend to go back to our old patterns under stress. So this means this guy's new patterns, they're kicking in, right? They're becoming a habit that he's communicating well. My wife and I, our win for this week, I've been sharing about a friend of mine who passed away, and we had his wife over this week, and it was just really nice to be able to provide some service to her together with my wife, cook a meal for her together and her kids, and just kind of sit with her and be with her. It's nice, when you can serve together with your family, with your wife, it's a bonding experience. You're doing something that is a spiritual work, doing God's work. So coming back to the podcast for today, this law of the harvest idea. So right now you're doing some good things, right? You're starting to make some changes, you're learning some new things, you're listening to this podcast, maybe you joined the program, you're new to the program, and you're starting to feel better right away. Especially if you join the program, you're starting to feel better right away. But the thing is, your wife is probably not impressed. Okay. She's not impressed with her changes. She's saying stuff like, oh yeah, these changes are good for your next wife, or this isn't going to last, or this is too little too late. Okay. Or maybe she's making just no response at all, and she's just not changing it all on her end. So what happens to a lot of guys, they start feeling frustrated because they feel different inside. They start thinking, my wife should also feel different and she should see my changes. Again, we talked about where frustration comes from last week. It's from this idea of things should be different, like she should be acting differently. So you start acting frustrated. You start thinking, man, I feel different, so she should trust me. She should trust that these changes are for real. I feel different. Why can't she see it? She should be able to see this. Okay, so you start getting frustrated. It feels unfair, right? You start feeling like, man, look at all the work I'm putting in. What's she doing? She's not doing anything. So, she should be doing just as much as me. Again, that's where frustration comes from, thinking people should be doing something differently than they are. And again, maybe you're right. Maybe she should be, but the more you focus on that, the more unattractive you are, because people aren't attracted to someone that's frustrated with them. Okay. So, but what happens is this can lead to you going back to your old habits. You start feeling frustrated. You're like, man, I'm doing so much. She's not doing enough. You get mad, you then go back to your old habits, right? Maybe you're looking at pornography again, you're talking to other girls, or you're just escaping into food or whatever. You're not communicating well, you're shutting down, you're walking on eggshells. And so all that does is it gives her more proof that you haven't changed. Okay? And this is a common thing that happens. Guys will start making some changes, think that their wife should appreciate those changes or that she should change too. When she doesn't, they go back to that same old mosquito cycle, right? Getting frustrated, acting out on that frustration. So what you want to understand is why this is happening. Why is it that you're making these changes, but she's not impressed or she's giving you negative feedback about it? So I need you to understand this idea of the law of the harvest. So you have planted bad seeds in your marriage for a long time, probably years. So some of those common ones that I see with guys, not prioritizing her over time. A lot of guys, when they come in and they're talking about separation, their wife has just not felt like a priority. Those states of like, yeah, my husband, he doesn't talk to me, he doesn't really care, he doesn't give me birthday presents, he doesn't remember anniversaries, all that kind of stuff. Okay. They haven't felt prioritized. And then eventually that builds up to where they say, I just can't do this anymore. And guys are surprised, but that's why. They've planted bad seeds for years. Again, this law of the harvest, it's a really good analogy, because you plant that seed, it grows and grows and grows and grows, and then all of a sudden one day it bears fruit. And the fruit of these negative things is your wife asking for separation or divorce or shutting down sex altogether. And guys are like, whoa, where'd this come from? But it comes from putting these bad seeds down for so long. So not prioritizing is one. Pornography, another big one. Again, that erodes trust over time. It erodes sexuality, the good type of sexuality. Infidelity is a pretty obvious one. That one tends to have pretty immediate effects as soon as it's revealed. Not listening over time, which is another type of not prioritizing, but not really treating her as an equal, acting superior to her over time. The mosquito cycle, feeling so needy on her for attention, appreciation, affection, and sex. She eventually gets tired of that. Having poor emotional control, losing your temper or shutting down, not being able to have conversations, poor communication skills. Okay, these are all just negative patterns, and they plant these bad seeds. Okay, so eventually the bad seeds, they lead to a bad harvest. It's inevitable. That's the law of the harvest. Okay, and that bad harvest looks like these things: low trust. She doesn't trust you to manage your emotions. She sees you as manipulative. Okay, poor communication. If she doesn't feel safe with you, she doesn't really want to express herself to you. Okay, low trust means low safety. So she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't want to communicate with you. She doesn't want to share with you. And that leads to low mental and emotional connection. So yeah, fights a lot, or you just feel like roommates. Okay. And then that leads to typically low sexual intimacy as well, because if she doesn't trust you, she doesn't feel mentally, emotionally connected to you. She also doesn't really want to open her body to you and be sexual with you. Okay, so that's the typical sequence, and that's the bad harvest. And that's when guys will typically come and ask me for help. Okay, is when they're experiencing these things. My wife says she doesn't trust me. My wife, we can't really talk. I'm walking on eggshells. I don't feel connected. It's not fun anymore. Okay, we don't have sex. We haven't had sex for a long time. So those are the fruits. But you need to understand where they come from. It's these bad seeds you've been planting over time. And usually it's delayed. And sometimes it's delayed for years. And then again, guys will sometimes be quote unquote blindsided. All of a sudden their wife says, I want more space, or I want a separation, or I want a divorce, or their wife is unfaithful. They're like, how did this happen? But it happened because you've been planting these bad seeds for a long time. Okay? That's what you need to understand. So when you start realizing this, and you start realizing, oh, wow, yeah, I have put these bad seeds down, I'm so sorry. And you start putting down good seeds. Okay. You start doing the things in the program, you join the program, you start making these good changes, you start feeling more connected with God, you start communicating better, you start listening more, right? You start doing all that stuff, you're putting down good seeds. But the hard part is you're still harvesting your bad harvest. So you're putting good seeds down, but you're reaping a bad harvest. So it's a very difficult time. You're in there, you're in the garden, you're pulling out all the weeds, right? You're getting rid of the weeds, those bad seeds you put down, you're taking those weeds out, you're starting to put down good seeds, but all you're seeing right now is weeds, because the good seeds, they haven't had time to grow, they haven't had time to develop. And so it can be confusing, because you're like, man, I'm putting down these good seeds, I'm having these good habits, my wife doesn't care, she's still saying she doesn't love me, she's still saying she wants to be a apart from me. It's hard. But that's what you got to understand is you're in that field full of weeds, right? And you're going to be pulling weeds for a while, man. Like you have a field full of weeds. So you're out there pulling weeds for a long time and putting good seeds down. Just understand that. Okay? And those, again, what those weeds looks like is her saying stuff like that. I still don't trust you. I don't believe you. I don't think this is going to happen. Okay. It's a testing period for your wife. Okay. She's out there watching. She's like, he's pulling out those weeds. He's putting down bad. He's putting down good seeds now, but how long is that going to last? How long is he going to be willing to keep pulling out those weeds? How long is he going to be willing to put good seeds down? Is he willing to wait for that seed to grow into something good or not? That's what's going on. That's why she's testing. She wants to know if this is for real. She wants to protect herself. She doesn't want you to just give up planting those good seeds, right? She wants you to pull out all the weeds and put the good seeds down and then wait for it to grow. That's what it takes. You have to earn her trust back over time. You have to pull out those weeds. You got to put the good seeds in, and you got to wait. You got to keep putting good seeds down. You got to keep watering them. You got to stay out there and be patient and let those seeds grow. Right. And when you see another weed pop up, you pull it out. Okay? That's what this takes to build a great marriage. And again, she's going to make it difficult. Okay. She's going to give you little feedback, zero feedback, even negative feedback, which again, that's the right thing for her to do. And again, it's just that's the weeds, right? That's the weeds you've got to expect. You planted a crop full of weeds and now you're harvesting it. So you got to get in, you got to pull those out. You got to expect her to be testing you and pushing you. And you just have to stick to putting down good seeds no matter what. Okay. So what you need to do, right? You need to commit to planting those good seeds and pulling out those weeds no matter what she decides. That's the key to all of this. Hey, look, she might accept this, she might not, but what I'm going to trust is when I put good seeds down as a Christian, if I'm following Christ, putting down good seeds, good will come back. In one way or another, it's going to come back. Maybe my wife will love me again, maybe she won't, but I don't care. Right? I've got to pull out these seeds because I've got to pull out these weeds because that's who I want to be. I've got to put down good seeds because that's how I want to be. I want to set a good example, at least to my kids, even if my wife doesn't necessarily come back, right? I need to put these good seeds down. See how that feels strong. See how it's all within your power. See how that commitment works. See how that makes it easier when she's saying, oh, I don't care and get away from me and all this. You're like, okay, I'm still going to put the good seeds down because good's going to come one way or the other. And yeah, if you can't trust it, I understand because I planted a field full of weeds for years. So if you can't trust it, I get it. But I'm putting good seeds down anyway. Guess what? That's also the most likely thing for her to say, this guy really is different and start being attracted to you again. It's like Viktor Frankl says, you can't chase success, right? Success comes as a byproduct of a commitment to a cause greater than yourself. Same thing here. Like attraction from your wife, it doesn't come from you trying to get attraction from her. It comes from you committing to something bigger than yourself, like following God, like treating her well because that's who you want to be, like being a great example to your kids. Okay, it doesn't really have to do with her, but it has to do with you being who you want to be. Treating her well because that's who you want to be, even when she's not treating you well, because that's what Christ asks us to do. Love your enemies, bless them that curse you. You're probably going to have to be doing that for a while. Okay. And it's not easy. But again, you're committing to it not because you're expecting a result from her, but because that's who you want to be as a man. Okay. Regardless of your response, that's who it's going to be. In your own mind, just understand it's going to take time. Okay. Then tell her you understand. Yeah, I get it. I've treated you bad for a long time. I've put down bad seeds for a long time. You shouldn't trust me. I have to earn your trust back over time. Can you even share with this idea, the idea of the seeds in the harvest? Just tell her, yeah, I put down bad seeds for a long time. I don't expect you to trust that I'm changing. You're going to have to see that. I got to put good seeds down and be patient. They got to grow. Okay. It's going to take time for that tree to grow, for that fruit to come, right? And just tell her you understand that. Yeah, you're only going to trust me when I show I'm trustworthy over time. Okay, that's what makes sense. It's me being consistent. That's the only way. So when you share that with her and really believe it, it's counterintuitive, but it'll actually speed up the process. You giving her as much time as she needs to earn trust back and not really like worrying about it, but just being trustworthy. Again, that's attractive to her. So just commit to the process, right? Commit to being the man that you want to be, who God wants you to be, a guy who communicates well, who can listen, who has great self-confidence and self-worth, who manages his thoughts and emotions well. When you do that, good is going to come, especially when you tie it to living a Christ-like life. Okay. So what skills do you need to do this? You need a commitment. And that's just an internal commitment to be the man that you can be proud of no matter what her response is. It doesn't matter. You're going to be the type of man that you want to be. You're going to learn the skills of mental and emotional management, and you do need those because this is a hard time. Like, it is hard when she's giving you all this negative. You're putting the good seeds down. All you're seeing is weeds. It's hard. And so you need to be able to manage your thoughts and emotions well. Okay? And you need the skills to do that. You need self-awareness. You need to be able to see those negative, unattractive patterns. You got to make sure you're not putting down any more weed seeds, right? Make sure you're not putting down those bad seeds anymore. So you need often help to make sure that you're not putting those seeds down. You need to see those negative, unattractive patterns so you can change them and start putting down good seeds with positive, attractive patterns of thinking, feeling, and acting. All right. You need good self-esteem, self-confidence. You need determination. You need patience. These are all things you can develop. You need great communication skills. You need to be able to listen to her. You need to be able to express yourself well. You need to get to win-wins. Okay, this isn't about just doing whatever your wife wants to put down good seeds. It's about learning to communicate well, to get to things you both feel good about, to not feel superior or inferior to her, but equal to her. Okay, it's a whole new mindset you need to develop. Okay, you need to have intimacy skills to be able to bring fun and flirting and passion back in a good, productive way. Okay, you need all of this, right, to put down good seeds. And it's not easy to do alone. Okay, and we would love to help and support you in the strongman system. So look, come over, visit strongmenstrongmarriages.com, or you can click the link in the show notes. You fill out an application. We're going to review it case by case. If you missed the last launch, you missed it, right? But if this is the first time you're hearing about me, if you just found the podcast, we'll review that case by case and kind of see and let you know your best next steps. So again, visit strongmenstrongmarriages.com or go to the link in the show notes, and let's help you build these skills. Let's help you put the good seeds down so you can get that good harvest. Like, a good harvest is going to come. You're going to have a great relationship with either your current wife. Well, either way, you're going to have a great relationship with her, right? Even if you end up divorced, because you'll know how to communicate well. You'll be a great example as a parent, no matter what. It also happens to be the most likely thing for her to want to come back and to choose you, right? So again, it's either going to happen with her or it's going to happen with someone else down the line, because you've built those skills. You've put down the good seeds. You know what it takes to create a great marriage and a great relationship. So come learn those skills. Love to help you do it. This is what we do all day. We love it. So yeah, again, visit strongmenstrongmarriages.com or click the link in the show notes, and we will see you there. All right, fill out that application. Let's do it. Stay strong, men. We will see you next episode.